हे गाइस, स्वागत है आप सबका मेरे चैनल सुनो कहानी पे। तो आज एक नई बुक के साथ आपका स्वागत है। तो आज हम पढ़ने जा रहे हैं द सेवन हस्बैंड्स ऑफ एल्विन ह्यूगो, अ नोवेल, अ ऑथर ऑफ मे बी इन अनदर लाइफ, टेलर जेनकिंस रीड। तो इन्होंने लिखी है। तो चलो देखते हैं क्या क्या होगा इस नोवेल में। द सेवन हस्बैंड्स ऑफ एल्विन ह्यूगो, अ नोवेल, ठीक है, फॉर लिया स्मैश द पेट्रियार्की स्वीट हार्ट। तो आई गेस इसमें पेट्रियार्की की बात होगी। ठीक है। एल्विन ह्यूगो टू ऑक्शन ऑफ गॉन्स बाय प्रियामृत। ठीक है, तो ये थोड़ा सा इंट्रोडक्शन दे रखा होगा कि एल्विन ह्यूगो है कौन। फिल्म लेजेंड एंड 60s it girl Evelyn Hugo has just announced that she will auction off 12 of her most memorable gowns through Christie's to raise money for breast cancer research. At the age of 79, Hugo has long been an icon of glamour and elegance. She is known for a personal style both sensual and restrained, and many of Hugo's most famous looks are considered touchstones of the fashion and Hollywood archives. Those looking to own a piece of Hugo history will be intrigued not only by the gowns themselves but also by the context in which they were worn. Included in the sale will be the Emerald green Mirindala Conda that Hugo wore to the 1959 Academy Awards, the violet shuffle and orangey scoop neck she donned at the premiere of Anna Karenina in 1962, and the navy blue silk Michael Maddox that she was wearing in the 1982 when she won her Oscar for All for Us. Hugo has weathered her share of Hollywood scandals, not the least of which being her 7 marriages, including her decades-long relationship with film producer Cameron. The two Hollywood insiders shared a daughter, Connor Cameraman. Sorry, Connor Cameron, who is no doubt the influence for the auction. Miss Cameron passed away last year from breast cancer soon after turning 41. Born Evelyn Elena Heria in 1938, the daughter of Cuban immigrants, Hugo grew up in the Hell's Kitchen neighborhood of New York City. By 1955, she had made her way to Hollywood, gone blonde, and been re-sherited Evelyn Hugo. Almost overnight, Hugo became a member of Hollywood elite. She remained in the spotlight for more than 3 decades before retiring in the late 80s and marrying financier Robert Jamieson, older brother of three-time Oscar-winning actress Celia Set. James, now widowed from her seventh husband, Hugo resides in Manhattan. Preternaturally beautiful and a paragon of glamour and daring sexuality, Hugo has long been a source of fascination for movie crews the world over. The auction is expected to rise upward of $2 million. Can you come into my office? I look around at the desk beside me and then back at Frankie, trying to confirm to whom exactly she is talking. I point to myself. Do you mean me? Frankie has very little patience. Yes, Monique, you. That's why I said, Monique, can you come into my office? Sorry, I just heard the last part. Frankie turns, I grab my notepad and follow her. There is something very striking about Frankie. I am not sure that you would say she was conveniently attractive. Her features are several, her eyes very wide apart, but she is nevertheless someone you can't help but look at the admire with her thin 6 foot tall frame, her short cropped afro and her affinity for bright colors and big jewelries. When Frankie walks into a room, everyone takes notice. She was part of the reason I took this job. I have looked up to her since I was in journalism school, reading her pieces in the very pages of the magazine she now runs and I now work for. And if I am being honest, there is something very inspiring about having a black woman running things. As a Berizial woman myself, light brown skin and dark brown eyes, courtesy of my black father, and evidence of face freckles courtesy of my white mother, Frankie makes me feel more sure that I can one day run things too. Take a seat, Frankie says as she sits down and gestures towards an orange chair on the opposite side of her lucid desk. I calmly sit and cross my legs. I let Frankie talk first. So, puzzling turn of events, she says, looking at her computer. Evelyn Hugo's people are inquiring about a feature, an exclusive interview. My gut instinct is to say, holy shit, but also, why are you telling me this about what in particular? I ask. My guess is it's related to the gowns auction she's doing, Frankie says. My understanding is that it's very important to her to raise as money, as much money for the American Breast Cancer Foundation as possible. But they won't confirm that. Frankie shakes her head. All they will confirm is that Evelyn has something to say. Evelyn Hugo is one of the biggest movie stars of the all time. She does not even have to have something to say for people to listen. This could be a big cover for us, right? I mean, she is a living legend. Wasn't she married 8 times or something? 7, Frankie says. And yes, this has huge potential, which is why I hope you will bear with me through the next part of this. What do you mean? Frankie takes a big breath and gets a look on her face that makes me think I'm about to get fired, but then she says, Evelyn, Evelyn specifically requested you. Me? This is the second time in the span of 5 times minutes that I have been shocked that someone was interested in speaking with me. I need to work on my confidence. Suffice is to say, it's taken a beating recently, although why pretend it was ever really sorry? To be honest, that was my reaction. Too, Frankie says. Now, I'll be honest, I'm a little offended, although obviously I can see where she's coming from. I have been at Vivant for less than a year, mostly doing puff pieces. Before that, I was blogging for the Disc- Discovers, a current event and culture site that calls itself a new magazine, but it is effectively a blog with punchy headlines. I wrote mainly for the modern life section, covering trending topics and opinion pieces. After years of freelancing, the discouraged gig was a lifesaver, but when Vivant offered me a job, I could not help myself. I jumped at the chance to join an institution to work among legends. On my first day of work, I walked past walls decorated with iconic culture shifting covers, the one of women's activist Debbie Palmer, naked and carefully posed, standing on top of a skyscraper overlooking Manhattan in 1984, the one of artist Robert Turner in the act of painting a canvas while the text declared that he had AIDS back in 1991. It felt surreal to be part of the Vivant world. I have always wanted to see my name on its glossy pages. But unfortunately, for the past 12 issues, I have done nothing but ask old guard question of people with old money, while my colleagues back at the discourse discourse are attempting to change the world while going viral. So, simply put, I am not exactly impressed with myself. Look, it's not that we don't love you, we do, Frankie says. We think you are destined for big things at we want, but I was hoping to put one of our more experienced top hitters on this. And so I want to be upfront with you when I say that we did not submit you as an idea to Evelyn's team. We sent 5 big names and they come back with this. Frankie turns her computer screen towards me and shows me an email from someone named Thomas Welk, who I can only assume is Evelyn Hugo's publicist. From Thomas Welk to Troop Frankie, Stammy Jensen Powers. It's Monique Grant of Evans out. I look back at look back up at Frankie's stand and to be honest a little bit starstruck that Evans Hugo wants anything to do with me. Do you know Evans Hugo? Is that what's going on here? Frankie asks me as she turns the computer back towards her side of the desk. No, I say, surprised even to be asked a question. I have seen a few of her movies, but she is a little before my time. You know, no personal connection to her. I shake my head. Definitely not. Are not you from Las Los Angeles? Yeah, but the way I had have any connection to Evans Hugo, suppose, is if my dad worked on one of her films back in the day. He was a still photographer for movie sets. I can ask my mom. Great, thank you. Frankie looks at me expectantly. Did you do you want me to ask now? Could you? I pull up my phone out of my pocket and text my mother. Did dad ever work on any Ivan Hugo movies? I see three dots start to appear and I look up only to find that Frankie is trying to get a glimpse of my phone. She seems to recognize the invasion and leans back. My phone rings. My mother texts, maybe. There were so many, it's hard to keep track. Why? Long story, I reply, but I'm trying to figure out if I have any connection to Ivan Hugo. Think dad would have known her. Mom answered, haha, no, yaar. No, your father never hung out with anybody famous on set, no matter how hard I try to get him to make us some celebrity friends. I laugh. It looks like no. No connection to Ivan Hugo. Frankie notes, okay, well then. The other theory is that her people choose someone with less clout so that they could try to control you and thus the narrative. I feel my phone vibrate again. That reminds me that I wanted to send you a box of your dad's old work, some gorgeous stuff. I love having it here, but I think you should love it more. I'll send it in this week. You think they are preying on the weak? I said to Frankie. Frankie smiled softly, sort of. So Ivan's people look up the masthead, find my names as a lower level writer and think they can bully me around. That's the idea. That's what I fear, and you are telling me this because Frankie considers her words. Because I don't think you can be bullied around. I think they are under under underestimating you. And I want this cover. I wanted to make headlines. What are you saying? I ask, shifting slightly in my chair. Frankie claps her hands in front of her and rests them on the desk, leaning towards me. I am asking you if you have the guts to go toy to toy with Ivan Hugo. Of all the things I thought someone was going to ask me today, this would probably be somewhere around number 9 million. Do I have the guts to go to toy with Ivan Hugo? I have no idea. Yes, I finally say. That's all, just say. That's yes. I want this opportunity. I want to write this story. I am sick of being the lowest one of the totem pole and I need a win. God damn it, fuck yes. Frankie notes, considering better, but I am still not convinced. I am 35 years old. I have been a writer for more than a decade. I want a book deal one day. I want to pick my stories. I want to eventually be the name people scream to get when someone like Ivan Hugo calls. And I am being understand here at Vivant. If I am going to get where I want to go, something has to let up. Someone has to get out of my way, and it's need to happen quickly because this goddamn career is all I have anymore. If I want things to change, I have to change how I do things and probably drastically. Ivan wants me, I say. You want Ivan. It does not sound like I need to convince you, Frankie. It sounds like you need to convince me. Frankie is dead quiet, staring right at me over her stapled fingers. I was aiming for formidable. I might have overshot. I feel the same way I did when I tried weight training and started with the 40 pounds weights. Too much too soon makes it obvious you don't know what you are doing. It takes everything I have not to take it back, not to apologize profusely. My mother raised me to be polite, to be demure. I have long operated under the idea that civility is superseverance, but it has not gotten me very far. That type of kindness, the world respects people who think they should be running it. I have never understood that, but I am done fighting it. I am here to be Frankie one day, maybe bigger than Frankie, to do big, important work that I am proud of, to leave a mark, and I am nowhere near doing that yet. The silence is so long that I think I might crack, the tension building with every second that goes by. But Frankie cracks first. Okay, she says, and puts her hand as she stands up, shock and searing pride run through me as I extend my own. I make sure my handshake is strong. Frankie is a wise. Has this manicure for us and for yourself, please. I will. We break away from each other as I walk towards her door. She might have read your physician assisted suicide piece of the discourse, Frankie says just before I leave the room. What? It was stunning. Maybe that's why she wants you. It's how we found you. It's a great story, not just because of the hits it got, but because it's beautiful work. It was one of the first truly meaningful stories I wrote of my own volition. I pitched it after I was assigned a piece on the rise in a popularity of microgreens, especially on the Brooklyn restaurant scene. I had gone to the Park Slope Market to interview a local farmer, but when I confessed that I did not get the appeal of mustard greens, he told me that I sounded like his sister. She had been highly carnivores until the past year when she switched to a vegan all organic diet as she battled brain cancer. As we spoke more, he told me about a physician assisted suicide support group he and his sister had joined for those at the end of their lives and their loved ones. So many in the group were fighting for the right to die with dignity. Healthy eating was not going to save his sister's life, and neither of them wanted her to suffer any longer than she had to. I knew then that I wanted very deeply to give a voice to the people of that support group. I went back to the discourse office and pitched the story. I thought it would be turned down, given my recent slate of articles about hipsters, trends, and celebrity think piece. But to my surprise, I was greeted with a green light. I worked tirelessly on it, attending meetings in church basements, interviewing the members, writing and rewriting until I felt confident that the piece represented the full complexity, both the mercy and the moral code of helping to end the lives of suffering people. It is the story I am proudest of. I have more than once gone home for a day's work here and read the piece again, reminding myself of what I am capable of, reminding myself of satisfaction I take in staring the truth, no matter how difficult it may be to swallow. Thank you, I tell Frankie. I am just saying that you are talented. It might be that it's probably not true. No, she says, it's probably not, but write this story well, whatever it is, and then next time it will be. Ivan Hugo's Coming Clean by Julia Santos, March 4, 2017. Word on the street is Siren, living legend. World's most beautiful blonde Ivan Hugo is auctioning off gowns and agreeing to an interview which she has not done in multiple decades. Please tell me she is finally ready to talk about all those damn husbands. I can understand four, maybe even five, six if you are really pushing it, but seven husbands, not to mention the fact that we all know she was having an affair with Congressman Jack Easton in the early 80s. Girl got around. If she won't come clean about the husbands, let's pray she at least goes on the record about how she got those eyebrows. I mean, share the wealth, Ivan. When you see pictures of Eve back in the day with her brassy blonde hair, those dark, straight as an arrow eyebrows, that deep tanned skin, and those golden brown eyes, you have no choice but to stop what you are doing and stare right at her. And don't even get me started on that body. No ass, no hips, just huge boobs on a slim frame. I have basically been working my entire adult life for a body like that. Note, I am very far away. Might be the spaghetti Bectini I have been eating for lunch every day this week. Here is the only part that has me heated. Ivan could have been chosen anyone for this. Me, but instead she chose some new buy at Vivant. She could have anyone. Me. Why is Monique grand chief and not me? Ah, fine. I'm just a bitter. It's not me. I should really get a job at Vivant. They get all the good stuff. Hello. 565 says, Ivan, people at Vivant work, don't want to work at Vivant anymore. Corporate overloads producing censored advertiser cutting bullshit. Peps replied to Hi Hello 565. Yeah, okay, something tells me if the most well respected, sophisticated magazine in the country offered you a job, you would take it. Christian Nine says, didn't Ivan's daughter die of cancer recently? I feel like I read something recently about that. So heartbreaking. By the way, that picture of Ivan at Harry Cameron graves basically ruined me for months. Beautifully family, beautiful family, so sad that she lost them. Miss Jenny Graham says, I do not care about Ivan Hugo at all. Stop writing about these people, her marriage affairs, and most of her movies just go to prove one thing slut. 3 a.m. was a disgrace to women. Focus your attention to people that deserve. Sexy Lexi 89 says, Ivan Hugo is maybe the most beautiful woman of all the time. That shot in boot and train where she is coming out of the water naked and the camera cuts to black right before you see her nipples. So good. Penny Driver's Calciums. All hail Ivan Hugo for making blonde hair and dark eyebrows the look. Ivan, I salute you. Yuppie Pigs 3 says, too skinny, not for me. Ivan Hugo A Saint says, this is a woman who has donated millions of dollars to charities for battered women's organization and LGBTQ plus interested, and now she is auctioning off gowns for cancer research, and all you can talk about is her eyebrow game. Seriously? Julia Santos at the spill replied to Ivan Hugo sent, "This is a fair point, I guess, sorry." In my defense, she started making millions by being a badass business bitch back in the 60s, and she would never have had the clout to do that without her talented beauty, and she never would have been as beautiful with damn brown. But okay, fair point. Ivan Hugo A. sent reply to Julia Santos. Sorry for being so bitchy. I skipped lunch. Mea culpa. For what it's worth, we won't do half as well with this story as you would have. Ivan should have chosen you. Julia Santos at the spill replied to Ivan Hugo. Right. Who is Monique? Grand anyway? Boring. I'm coming for her. I have spent the past few days researching everything I can about Ivan Hugo. I was never a big film buff, let alone interested in any old Hollywood star, but Ivan's life, at least the version of on record as of now, is enough for 10 soaps operas. There is the early marriage that ended in divorce when she was 18, then the studio set of courtesy and Tom Wolto's marriage to Hollywood royalty Don Adler, the rumors that she left him because he beat her, her comeback in a French New Wave film, the Vicky Vegas elopement with singer Mick Riva, her glamorous marriage to the dapper Rex North, which ended in both of them having an affair, the beautiful love story of her life with Harry Cameron, and the birth of their daughter Connor, their heartbreaking divorce, and her very quick marriage to her old director Max Giard, her supposed affair with the much younger Congressman Jack Easton, which ended her relationship with Giard, and finally her marriage to financier Robert Jamieson, rumored to have at least been inspired by Ivan's desire to spite former coaster and Robert's sister, Celicia Stead James. All of her husbands have passed away, leaving Evans as the only one with insight into those relationships. Suffice is to say, I have work. I have my work cut out for me if I want to get her to talk about any of it. After staying late at the office this evening, I finally make my way home a little before 9. My apartment is small. I believe the most appropriate term is teeny, said 9 box, but it's amazing how vast a small place can feel when half of your things are gone. David moved out 5 weeks ago, and I still have not managed to replace the dishes he took with him or the coffee tables his mother gave us last year as a wedding present. Jesus, we did not even make it to our first anniversary. As I walk in my front door and put my bag on the sofa, it strikes me again just how needlessly petty it was of him to take the coffee table. His new San Francisco studio came fully furnished, courtesy of the generous relocation package offered with his promotion. I suspect he put the table in storage along with the one nightstand he insists was rightfully his and all of our cookbooks. I do not miss the cookbooks. I don't cook, but when things are inscribed to Monique and David for all your many years of happiness, you think of them as half years. I hang up my coat and wonder, not for the first time, which question gets closer to the truth. Did David take the new job and move to San Francisco without me? Or did I refuse to leave New York for him? As I take off my shoes, I resolve once again that the answer is somewhere in the middle. But then I come back to the same thought that always stings afresh. He actually left. I ordered myself pad thai and then get into the shower. I turn the water to nearly scalding hot. I love water so hot in the almost burns. I love the smell of shampoo. My happiest place might just be under a shower head. It is here in the steam covered in shirts that I do not feel like Monique Grant, woman left behind, or even Monique Grant styled writer. I am just Monique Grant, owner of luxury baths products. Well, after I have plunged, I dry myself off, put on my sweatpants, and pull my hair away from my face just in time for the delivery man to make his way to my door. I sit with a plastic container trying to watch TV. I attempt to zone out. I want to make my brain do something, anything other than think about work or David, but once my food is gone, I realize it's futile. I might as well work. This is all very intimidating. The idea of interviewing Ivan Hugo, the task of controlling her narrative, of trying to make sure she does not control mine. I am often inclined to over prepare, but more to the point, I have always been a bit like an ostrich, willing to bury my head in the sand to avoid what I don't want to face. So, for the next 3 days, I do nothing but research Ivan Hugo. I spend my days pulling up old articles about her marriages and her scandals. I spend my evenings watching her old movies. I watched clips of her in Carlonia Sunset and a Carninia, Jet Diamond, and all for us. I watched the GIF for her coming out of the water in Bhutan train so many times that when I fell asleep, it plays over and over in my dreams. I start to fall in love with her just the littlest bit as I watch her films between the hours of 11 p.m. and 2 p.m. While the rest of the world is sleeping, my laptop flickers with sight of her, and the sound of her voice fills my living room. There is no denying that she is stunningly beautiful woman. People often talk about her straight, thick eyebrows and her blonde hair, but I can't take my eyes off her bone structure. Her jawline is strong, her cheekbones are high, and all of it comes to a point at her ever so swollen lips. Her eyes are huge but not so much round as an oversized almond shape. Her tanned skin next to her light hair looks beachy but also elegant. I know it's not natural hair that blonde with skin that bronze, and yet I can't shake the feeling that it should be. The humans should be born looking like this. I have no doubt that's a part of the reason film historian Charles Reading once said that Ivan's face felt inevitable, so excited, so nearly perfect that when looking at her you get the sense that her features in that combination, in that ratio, were bound to happen sooner or later. I pin images of Ivan in 50s wearing tight sweaters and bullet bras, press photos of her and Don Adler on the Sunset Studio lot shortly after they were married. Sort of her from the early 60s with long straight hair and soft thick bangs and wearing short shorts. There is a photo of her in a white one piece sitting on the shoreline of a pristine beach with a large floppy black hat covering most of her face, her white blonde hair and the right side of her face illuminated by the sun. One of my personal favorites is a black and white shot from the Golden Globes in 1967. She is seated on the aisle, her hair pulled into a loose updo. She is wearing a light colored lace gown with a deep scoop neckline, her cleavage control button on full display, and her right leg escaping through the high slit of the skirt. There are two men seated next to her, names lost to history, who are staring at her as she looks ahead at the stage. The man next to her is staring at her chest. The one next to him is staring at her thigh. Both of them seem enraptured and hoping to see the tiniest bit further. Maybe I'm overthinking that photo, but I'm staring to notice a pattern. Ivan always leaves you hoping you will get just a little bit more, and she always denies you. Even in her much talked about sex scene in 3 a.m. from 1977, in which she Ritz reverts cowboy style on top of Don Adler. You see her full breasts for less than 3 seconds. It was rumored for years that the incredible box office number for the film were because couples were going to see it multiple times. How does she know just how much to give and just how much of herself to withhold? And does that all change now that she's got something to say, or is she going to me with the play me the same way she played audience for years? Is Ivan Hugo going to tell me just enough to keep me on the edge of my seat but never enough to truly reveal anything? So गाइज अभी इसका इतना ही रहने देते हैं। और ये नॉवल तो मुझे बहुत सही लग रही है यार, सीरियसली। मतलब क्या बता रही है वो डिटेल में कि उस हीरोइन के बारे में। बट ठीक है, अभी सस्पेंस को तोड़ते नहीं है। मिलेंगे नेक्स्ट वीडियो में। थैंक्स फॉर वॉचिंग एंड डोंट फॉरगेट टू लाइक एंड कमेंट योर फेवरेट बुक।